Hello, we are just giving everybody a couple minutes to join and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right, we'll go ahead and get started and then we'll let people just trickle on in. Thank you so much for joining me today for this real estate real deal webinar. Little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Participants' audio and videos have been disabled. Just turn off any other apps or stuff you got going on for a better experience. And then I do want to note that if you have any questions while I'm going through this, you can post them in the Q&A function at any time. So today's focus really is going to be to explore Fathom and how you can use it to turn your complex financial data into clear, valuable insights for real estate businesses. And a couple introductions. All right, so my name is Sydney Silver. I am a customer engagement specialist. I work with people throughout their trials as well as when they recently subscribe and kind of just helping them learn the platform. My colleague Sasha will be joining me today. She will be focusing on answering all of your questions from the Q&A. So again, please send those through because she'll be answering them as we go through. And then we'll either, if we don't get to all of them, we will go through some at the end, or maybe just save a few that we think could be beneficial to do live. And I'm joined today by Lon from Property Management Inc. I'm really excited to have him on the call today. He is going to talk through a little bit about what he does, what PMI is, and then how Fathom has been really helpful for them. Awesome. Okay, so today's agenda. So first, we're going to start off by talking a little bit about some common challenges you guys might find in financial reporting. We'll talk about the importance of then having effective reporting, consolidations, benchmarking, kind of just the well-rounded view of that. How Fathom will help with that. We'll talk a little bit more in about reporting, benchmarking, consolidations. We'll then get to hear from Lon. And I'm really excited for that. Then we're going to have a live demonstration of Fathom actually. So we'll be able to jump into the platform and see it together, see it live, and see what you can actually produce using Fathom. Then we are going to have a live Q&A at the end and then next steps. So let's go ahead and get started. Awesome. So some common problems. We know financial reporting and real estate and just kind of like industries within the kind of real estate, focus, whether that's investment firms, property management, financial reporting can be a challenge. And so some common issues that we hear from businesses include data overload and maybe fragmented systems. This can lead to complicated reporting tools as well as too many data sources. As well as then you can have manual data handling, and this can lead to inefficiencies or errors, as well as then a lack of transparency within financial performance. So with all of that said, you kind of want a bit of a smarter approach to dealing with all this. Having structured automated financial reporting is going to be beneficial because it's scalable, repeatable, which will save you time and effort. It'll help you translate the numbers into clear insights and also provide more conversation and value for the business going forward. And the power of consistent reporting specifically in real estate. Again, this kind of can be a little bit broad spent depending on exactly where you sit in this industry. But if you're an investment firm and you have to track portfolio performance across multiple properties or asset types, that can be difficult, and it can be nice to have consistent reporting for that, as well as property managers. Standardizing your reporting across all your properties and ownership structures can be difficult. And then these two other points, you want to make data-driven decisions with the financials. You want to actually know what you're looking at to then make a decision moving forward, as well as just overall have some more operational consistency. So that's where Fathom kind of comes in. It is an all-in-one business performance reporting, analysis, and forecasting for real estate businesses. We'll go ahead and we'll talk a little bit of how Fathom works. I know some of you on the call today might have used Fathom in the past, or maybe this is your first time looking at Fathom and you've never heard of it before. So today we're going to have a little bit of a mix. So we're going to talk a little bit of the top down for the people who have never heard it before, and then hopefully those who maybe used it in the past or want to learn more, you'll be able to get that from today. So how Fathom works. It integrates seamlessly with leading accounting softwares. So it is going to pull in all of your financial data into Fathom, into one place, which then you'll be able to manipulate into the reporting, the consolidations, the benchmarking that you can do. Obviously, Fathom can do more too. We have analysis and forecasting. We're not going to be focusing too much on forecasting today. And I'm probably going to say this a couple times throughout, but anything that we don't talk about today, just know that we're happy to meet with each and every one of you one-on-one to go into even more training or any specifics that maybe we didn't touch on today. Also, if one of your questions is maybe just like super individualized and you just, it's better to just have that one-on-one or with our chat support, that's obviously more than okay. So now a little bit more on reporting in Fathom and what it really is. So it is fast, valuable, efficient, and sustainable. I think I want to note for this one really important is that the efficiency. And so within Fathom, once the data is loaded in and you build a report, as you build, as you have your month's ends close and that's flowing into Fathom, you can have a report that you've built as a template, and that will just automatically flow in with that next month of data, as well as you can save those templates and then share them across the board. It will be able to give you a deeper dive into how you're doing and saving you a lot of time. So you can build one beautiful report and then not have to ever build it again because it'll just be saved into your account. And then specifically with benchmarking and consolidations. So these are really awesome features within Fathom. So, obviously it's a little bit different. So benchmarking, you're going to have more of a comparison. You'll be able to compare your different properties, your different ownership that you have, different investment properties, whatever it might be, against each other, see who's performing better, who might need a little bit more support, as well as aggregate your financials through consolidation so you can see a total on how you're doing all together. Now these two bottom points that kind of go together. Within Fathom, you'll then be able to have better conversations with your investors, your owners, your stakeholders, because everything again is going to be in one place and you have unlimited users. Fathom, unlimited users, no additional charge. That just comes with Fathom. So it's really a great platform to get everybody on board, no matter who they are in the company, so that everybody kind of, understands what's going on. And when we do the live demo, I'll definitely show you what the user management is and how you kind of have some permissions on what people can see and not. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and hand this off to Lon. I do have to figure out how to get him on stage. So let me go ahead and remove my.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lon Searle. I'm the CFO at PMI, and we are heavy users of Fathom. PMI is a large network of property management franchisees, and we're the franchisor. We are been around for about 18 years, and we have 450 franchises, territories. Some of those are consolidated, so that's about 400 franchises. And we just, we love property management. Our goal is to create a network of premier property management franchises across the country. This map just shows gives you an idea of our locations. We're located in almost every state and heavily concentrated in Texas, California, Florida, and along the East Coast. It's a national property management brand. So next slide. This kind of gives you an idea of our main pillars, is what we call our revenue channels. We have the residential pillar, that's like the single family residential, the association pillar, we call those units, and under residential, we call our units doors. Association, that would include HOAs, those kind of operations, and short-term rental is our third pillar. That would include Airbnbs, places you go on the beaches or in the mountains to hang out and have fun. We manage a lot of properties like that as well. And then everything else would be commercial, including multi-family units and commercial units. And also we help our landowners with brokerage transactions, which is kind of listed as a foundational element across all of the pillars. We're the only franchise that offers all these services under one umbrella. Next. Our goal is to be the world's premier property management company. As I mentioned, we're top rated in Entrepreneur's 500 franchise ranking. We're typically in the top 100, and we are one of the fastest growing franchises in the country. Next slide. This gives you an idea of how large the property management industry is. It's just huge. There's about 350,000 actually now property managers in the country, and we're just getting started with our 449 territories. We're set up where we could probably max at about 5,000 potential territories. So even though we would be in many measures consolidating the industry in a lot of ways, that would be such a small portion of the industry. So I'm sure there are a lot of users of Fathom out there that are in this business of property management or tangential to it. Maybe you're a plumber or a electrician helping properties, or a manager of a apartment building or something like that. It's really hard to not be in some way related to property management if you're in a small business in America. So it's really, really a useful tool potentially for you. That also, there's just a lot of opportunities in property management because of this shift. A lot of people can't afford their own home. It's become so expensive. And so we figure that most of the population is either renting or have rented in the past. Very few people go straight into a single family home ownership scenario because of they're less affordable. So we serve a growing population of these renters. Next slide. We like to track in Fathom our assets under management and analyze them. This whole network of franchises in total right now currently manages about 72 billion of assets under management. And at the same time, they are small companies because we're a franchise. They would be considered, of a size that would still use tools like this. So we at corporate use it to slice and dice all of the individual doors, units, keys, and suites in those 4 pillars I mentioned, and how we're doing using ratios, trend lines, that sort of thing. When I first took on this job, a lot of my time was spent in Excel and in spreadsheets. I spend almost none of my time in that anymore. We've loaded everything we used to do in spreadsheets for the most part into Fathom. And I'm talking about not only analysis of each unit in each of those pillars, but also our forecasts, our financial analysis, and et cetera, et cetera. We do use other programs to manage other than QuickBooks, to manage the properties, but all of the numbers flow into QuickBooks and then flow up into our organization. So we get a lot of use out of Fathom in analyzing how all of the operations doing. And it syncs really, really well. Highly recommend it. All right.
Okay, I don't think I was on volume. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that. Awesome. We are now going to have a live demo of the platform and kind of see what Lon was talking about a little bit more in practice, and everything kind of loaded into one spot. So super excited. We're going to go ahead, and what I first want to start with is just viewing, this is an end product report that I've built. And so then we're going to kind of start here, and then we're going to take a step back and then actually go into the platform. So what we're looking at here is a consolidated portfolio review. I have 4 fake properties, 4 apartment complexes loaded into Fathom. And so in this introduction, you can see within Fathom, you're able to add your own text boxes, so breaking down what it is we're looking at, and then also the ways that you present your data, whether it's a table, a graph, a chart, like just a specific metric. It's important to show them differently, because every single thing you look at, the ways it's presented is easier to understand. So here we're looking at our total revenue, our contra revenue, and our total expenses. We have a rolling average against our revenue. Going to kind of just jump through here. We are looking at our revenue breakdown. So you can see our total rental income, obviously that's where most of our revenue is coming from. But then that makes it kind of difficult to understand what the real breakdown of these are. And so then you can go ahead and make the same pie chart, but then take out rental income. So you can kind of start to see it's really easy to customize and manipulate the data inside a report. Again, just a couple other ways of breaking it down. We have occupancy and rent analysis here. So we have our occupied different types of apartments, as well as their targets, and seeing how those are comparing. Average rent, of course, across the 2 different types of apartments. We have non-rental income, of course. So, rental or income from laundry, from parking, late fees, any other income that you might have. And then we have a vacancy analysis. So here we're looking at the number or the cost that we're losing every month, consolidated for each apartment when we have units that are not being sold or not being used. Again, individual breakdown by company, some more things here. Just jumping through, we have an expense breakdown. Looking at all these, you can see here we're comparing it to last month. Inside of our reports, not only can you compare to last month, you can compare to target, you can compare to same month last year. So again, there's a lot of flexibility with the ways that you want to look at the data and how you want to compare it. We then have, of course, financials. We have a P&L by property, and then we have a consolidated 6-month view of our income statement, as well as our balance sheet. Awesome. So that is a quick view of that. And now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Gonna move this over here so that I can see that. Okay. So we have now jumped into our Fathom platform. So inside of Fathom, this is what we call the My Companies page. And I'm kind of referring back to what I said earlier. Again, this is going to be a bit of a mix of a little bit of top down, a little bit of how to get up and running for those new people, and then of course some deeper dive into what things we can do if you've already seen Fathom before. So just to get you situated, the My Companies page is where all of your companies are going to be listed. This is where you can add them in. I do want to note that if you aren't using one of these 4 accounting systems, you can still upload through Excel. And that's actually what I've done for all of my demo companies today is I've just loaded them in through Excel. So really, no matter where your financials are housed, you will be able to use those inside of Fathom. So the first thing I do want to jump into is a little bit about user management, because just looking at this, obviously that's a lot of data to take in, and maybe there's some people that are part of my Winston Silver and Associates, my property management firm, that don't need to see everything. So over here in user management, you can invite, again, unlimited users. It's no additional fee for having those users. And then you'll go ahead and just add them in. And this is where you can then choose their level of permissions. So this is not only important at just like the surface level for the individual company, but you'll see that you can actually invite people in for the consolidations and the benchmarking. And within benchmarking, there's even more privacy permissions that I'll show you. So let's go ahead and invite somebody in as an editor. Let's just say that this is a property manager of one of my properties that I have. And so they really need to be able to get into Fathom, build reports, see what's going on, and take care of everything. So you're going to go ahead and click next. They have full access to every different section in Fathom, but this is just a property manager of Gideon Heights, or maybe the Lucy Flats, right? So they're just the property manager of one location. Of course, if they manage two, you can go ahead and turn this on. So you have a lot of flexibility with that. And then down here, we have our consolidation and our benchmarking group. So we don't want them to see the consolidation because, again, we don't want them to see all these other companies loaded in here. But, we will want them to have access to the benchmarking. And again, when we do go into benchmarking, I'll show you some more permissions there. So you go ahead and click next. I'm not going to invite a third of my email into this one, but this is how you would invite them in. So jumping back to your My Companies page. Kind of like we walked through, the three most important things that I want to talk about today are the reporting, and we did kind of see one of the end reports that you can build, the consolidations, and the benchmarking. Let's go ahead and start looking at benchmarking. I have one already built, but let's see how easy it is to build it. So go ahead and click Add, Benchmark. It'll open at this page. You'll go ahead and just select the ones that you want to add into this benchmarking. You'll go ahead and click or give it a name. Go ahead and click Save Changes. And then there is segmentation. So this is a really great feature. Whether you have 5 companies in this benchmarking or 200, it can get a lot of data, but you still want to compare everything. So with segmentation, you can add in, you can see, so here's some common ones: region, location, size, ownership. And we'll see in the one that I already built, I did do I did do location. And so I have 2 locations in Seattle and 2 locations in Tacoma. Just kind of break it up a little bit. Pretty easy to add those in. So now KPIs, we're going to talk more about KPIs and the flexibility that you can do with these when we go into an individual company here in a minute. But we start by adding all of them. If you don't want every single KPI in it, very easy to just go in and select the ones you want. Okay, so now going over to the permissions, save changes. So you can see who has access to it. Again, if I had added in my other email, it would be here. But then over here at privacy. So now, if you want somebody to be able to be in this benchmarking group, but you still don't want them to quite know who is performing where, you just want them to know where they're performing against other people, you can hide company names. And so again, that person that I invited in, while they can see this benchmarking group and they can see which one is them, they're not going to see the names of the other companies. They're just going to know that, hey, we're doing, the third best in this specific metric. And then, of course, you can add a logo in. Pretty easy. You just go ahead and select it and load it on in. Okay, let's jump out and actually go into this one that I already have built and click Compare. So here we're looking at the total revenue. You can highlight companies. Again, I'm the admin to this company or this account, so I can see all the names. And right here, A through Z, there's that location, that segmentation that I made. So now if I click on it, it automatically breaks it up between the 2 segmentations for that specific one I built. So here's my Seattle apartments and my Tacoma apartments. Let's go ahead and let's choose just another one of these. Let's see, what do we want to do? Maybe cash on hand. You can see how and who has the most cash available. We have, and again, all of these ones that we're looking at, by the way, they come with Fathom. I'm going to show you how to build your own, which is a really great feature, but just know that there are, I think it's like 70 or so KPIs that just come with Fathom that are already ready to go, that automatically are taking your financials and doing the math behind the scenes. So again, saving you a lot of time with building that out. Also, we did theoretically just build this benchmarking from start to finish together. So you can see how quick it is to really get these up and running. So this is our compare and this is rank. So now similarly, let's go ahead and select all of them. You can kind of just see who's ranking in these major segments, these major metrics, and who's doing the best, as well as alerts. Doesn't look like we have any alerts. That's great. But if we did, they would show up red, and it would help you know maybe who might need a little bit more hand holding. So that's benchmarking. And then let's go ahead and talk a little bit about custom KPIs. So I'm going to go ahead into one of my individual companies, coming over here to the settings. Just a little knowledge. There's settings for the individual company, which is what we're in right now, steps 1 through 6. And then there's also settings for the entire account. Only admins will have access to settings, and certain parts you can like toggle off and on again those permissions. So again, settings most of the time is going to refer for the individual company. So here we are. We're going to go ahead and jump over to step 4. So looking at all this, these are all custom KPIs I've built. None of these are in Fathom. These are all ones that I've been able to manipulate in a way that I think it's important for my properties. And then you can see I've added them to what we call the library. So this is another way that Fathom saves a lot of time for property managers, investment firms, or realistically any company ever, any industry that has a bunch of companies and a bunch of data that they're loading into Fathom, and that they want to kind of use the same KPIs across the board. So if you go down here to copy settings from another company, you can actually select. So if I go here, I can select a company and I can copy all 4 of these. So oftentimes I would say the chart of accounts layout and the KPIs are the 2 that I see people copying the most. Targets, not maybe as often, just because the targets for individually for each different property might be a little bit different depending on the size of the property and some different variables. But you still want to be tracking the same KPIs. And then the chart of accounts layout is really great. I do want to note that if you make any changes here in the chart of accounts inside of Fathom, it's not going to go back and affect your source accounting system at all. People ask me that a lot. They're like, well, if I change something, is my bookkeeper going to get mad at me because I've moved something around? It's not going to happen. Feel free to reorganize for the way you want to present your data in Fathom without any worries that it's going to affect your source accounting system. So basically what I did, I added some headings in here. And then again, for the copy settings, this same layout is the same across all of my properties, so that when I am reporting on it and when I built that consolidation, it was very easy to consolidate properly. And we will take some time to look at a consolidation in a minute. But I do want to come back over here to KPIs. We have a few different types of KPIs that you can create. The most notable is our non-financial. What's really wonderful about this feature is that you're going to be able to load in data that's not coming from that source accounting system. So for me, that looks like, the occupied, units for these different types, just because then I can do my total occupied units. This is a formula KPI, so I've added those together. And then I've built a couple different formulas, and let's go ahead and build one together. We're going to go ahead and rebuild occupancy rate and then take a look at it that we already have built. So formula, you can name it. We're going to do 2 because we already have one. We're going to go ahead and make this one a percentage. Do you want a higher or lower result? we usually want more occupancy, so we're going to go with higher. And then this is just for organization. So these ones all down here come with Fathom. Parking, employees, and units are ones that I built. So you can go ahead and very easily create a new category. But I already have units, so we're going to go ahead and add it there. And then this is where you can add it to that KPI library so that you can use it not only in the other companies, but also in the consolidation. I do want to make a quick note here. You can't build KPIs in the consolidation. You do need to build them first in an individual company, and then they'll be able to be used in the consolidation, no problem there. So you'll go add to that. I'm not going to do that just because I do already have this built. And then we have our formula builder. It is a pretty classic formula builder. You're going to want to make sure you follow PEMDAS. So we have our total occupied units divided by the total amount. And again, you're going to want to add in parentheses. And you can see right here, quick little tip, times it by 100 when you are making percentages. Then you'll go ahead and click create a KPI, add to library. Not going to do that because I have it right here. Next step would be to come over here to step 5, add in a target. We obviously want 100%. And let's go ahead and look at this. So now in our analysis tools, you can see there's our occupancy rate. We're about 89%. So we're down 11% from our target. This is in line with obviously my total occupied units compared to the total amount. So it's kind of the same metric, just looking at it in a slightly different way, which is really wonderful within Fathom, because oftentimes when you're looking at financial data, if you're not really, you don't have a financial background, you don't always understand what it is you're looking at. And so that's where Fathom can come in, and somebody can come in and look at this analysis page and go, well, this makes sense to me. I can understand, why we're not, at, as much revenue as I think we should be, because we're, lower on our occupancy rates. And it gives you a very clear indication of areas that you maybe need to focus in on. And again, we do have a benchmarking group. So you can see that this one actually is in the second percentile within that benchmarking group. So compared to all my properties, you can change it. So you can change it to importance, or there's the other benchmarking. So depending on how many you have, you can compare it to last month. You can compare it to same month last year. I'm going to stay with target for now. Each and every one of our analysis tools, as well as our reports, you can change the date range of what you want to look at. Like, do you want to look at month, quarter, or a year? And then what month, quarter, or year? Obviously, fake company, so I do have till December 2025, but let's go ahead and just go back to February, our most recently completed calendar month. And you can see back in February, I was only actually at 77%. So again, a really great way to just see how you're tracking over time. Let's go ahead and jump into the consolidation. So if I jump right over, that is the benchmarking. The consolidation. So if we go into the consolidation, it looks exactly the same, except for now it's all of the consolidated data. So again, for this occupancy rate, we actually are at 360% of 400, because again, it's 4 different units added together. And so you can see overall how you're doing. We're comparing all of these targets I've implemented myself. So again, a lot of flexibility and customization there. And then let's go ahead and take a jump out. So one thing, like we did for the benchmarking, I do want to show you how easy it is to build the consolidation. So if you click on consolidated group, it looks pretty similar to the benchmarking, right? You can go ahead and select the ones you want. Couple things to note here. Your consolidations don't need to be from the companies inside the consolidation group, do not need to be coming in from the same source accounting system. So I can consolidate a QuickBooks file, an Excel file, a Xero file, all of those into one place here in Fathom. So just know there's a lot of flexibility there. Also, if you do have any multi-currency, if there's any companies that have a different currency, you are able to do multi-currency consolidations, and you'll be able to choose the presentation currency. So if that's USD or Canadian or anything else, you're going to be able to choose that there. Okay, so we kind of walked through, we've walked through benchmarking and how easy it is to create those and consolidations. One more thing I want to note on consolidations, if we jump in here and we go over to our settings and step 3. So our consolidations are based off of your classification and your account name. So what that means is that you can see I have rental income. If I click on eliminate, I have that coming in from those 4 properties. So, and they're all named rental income. So they will accurately just consolidate. If for some reason there is some variation with the names of your accounts across properties, across whatever it might be, just know that you can come in here and create headings. So you can, I don't know if I have any quite examples in this one because I made these all exactly the same. But if you wanted to, you can just, okay, well, large scale remodel and repairs. You could go ahead and create a heading right inside of the consolidation so that it rolls up properly. Awesome. So I want to now show you guys how easy it is to build reports, save templates, and share those. So if I go ahead and I click into reports, I do already have that consolidated portfolio review built out. So if I wanted to, I can save this as a template. So this is just going to be monthly report. I can create that template. There it is. And now I can copy to another or edit template sharing. So only Winston Associates or all companies and groups. And if I save those changes and then I jump into this one, there it is. So let's go ahead and create a report from this. Let's make it for February. There it's the same report, but now it's with all the data it is. Obviously, these are company comparatives, and so I want to show you how easy it is to just delete these. And then if you want to, what you can do is come over to charts, scroll down, and you're actually, I just want a revenue breakdown by account. So instead of a comparative of the different companies, you can change this. And so we are doing total revenue breakdown by, this is just a total revenue breakdown. And we're going to remove this one. And so now I've totally changed that. And you can do that for the rest of the report. But then if you come back here, it's right there. I can, of course, rename it. So let's just name it portfolio review. And then if I save this as a template, so this is going to be Lucy's monthly report. Now, in what was that, like a minute or something, I've taken a report that I spent maybe an hour or 2, I've copied it over to another company, I've made some slight edits that I want to do, and I've now resaved that as an individual template for that company. And then I can just go ahead and schedule that report. I know I close my books maybe like 5 or 6 days at the end of, or it takes me about 5 or 6 days to close my book. So I want this report on the 7th day of the next month, and I will never have to build that report again. It will just automate for me. I can email myself that the report is ready. You still need to come into Fathom to view it, but you can also just download it right into here and send it off to whoever you want to send it off. Awesome. Okay, so we've walked through reporting, consolidation, and benchmarking. We've talked a little bit about custom KPIs that you can build and the flexibility that you have there. We saw the analysis summary page and how you can have a very clear snapshot of how you're comparing to your targets, maybe the same month last year. We haven't really touched on forecasting. And if that's something that's really interesting or important to you, I'm happy to have a call individually with anyone who wants to look at that. But I do really want to show you a new feature that we actually are just released so it's moving through beta right now, but its final release is going to be very soon. It's going to be our portfolio. So this is a brand new thing that Fathom has just added. So that what we were looking at was Fathom Pro. You can see Pro comes with the analysis, the reports, the forecasting, everything that we've looked at so far. And then there's portfolio, another feature on top of it when you have Fathom Pro. This is now another way to kind of look at your data and see how everything is comparing or all together. So we're looking again, all 6 of my companies are here. Market Square and Monroe Tower, those are office complexes, and the other 4 are the multifamily apartment complexes. And so we're looking at our revenue and our expenses. Within the Insights dashboard, you can have up to 6 different metrics that you want to look at. So maybe you also want your gross profit, and let's add our cash on hand. And so those will show you, we'll add right there. You can also do filters. So I have some tags. Maybe let's just look at my multifamily properties. There's also the threshold. Let's change it to the multifamily threshold. I don't know if there's any difference between my default. And so now I can see with this threshold, basically what this is saying, that if anything is below a certain percentage, that's going to be in red. And then if kind of in the middle, amber, and then obviously if it's exceeding the metric, the threshold, it's going to be green. We can look at the different, you have revenue, expenses, gross profit, and cash on hand. Also, it is very easy to change these metrics right here. I don't actually think I have any cost of goods for these. So a lot of flexibility there. And then if you want, if I click open this, and then you click sample report, this will actually bring you right into a report specific to that metric that you were looking at. And these are all built out already for you within Portfolio. So you don't need to do anything to add. You don't need to do anything to manipulate this. It will build it out for you, and you can easily add, you're like, okay, well, that's my profitability. Maybe I also want to add in my cash flow. Super easy to add in these reports. And again, you can do this for, each of your different properties, each of your different companies, as well as change the date range for each of these. So that is a brand new feature that Fathom has just released, has just created. Really excited about it. It's going to be really great for people that have multiple companies and they want to have a more of an insight view into how they're all doing. And again, you can have so within the portfolio, it's meant to be a little bit more of a quick shot. So like you have a little bit less functionality with like what columns you want. So it's not the custom KPIs that I showed you. That's with Fathom Pro. These ones are our canned ones, but it saves you a lot of time. So you're not needing to go in and build it, because again, you just click sample report and there it is, a revenue versus expense sample report. And some really great metrics right here, breaking it down. All right, I'm sure that was a lot of information. We've walked through quite a bit today. I'm going to go ahead and add back in my slide deck. So let's go ahead and spend some time for Q&A. I know that if any questions have been coming through, Sasha has been answering them, but I want to open it up. So if you do have any questions that you didn't send through, or that you maybe want to see live, or you saw something and you maybe want to see it again, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a couple minutes to add those in if you have any. So feel free to send those through. And if you don't have any questions now, by the way, no worries. Sometimes questions come to us later. So know that right here, you see we do have support at fathomhq.com. That is our chat support. They're wonderful and they respond really fast. And we also do have the chat bubble in the bottom right corner of our webpage. And so that is available for you too. If after this call you remember something and you're like, oh, I meant to ask that, feel free to just reach out to them and be like, hey, I would love to meet with Sydney and go over this or have a training, and they will shoot you off my demo link. And then, of course, the last thing today is next steps. So we do have an exciting offer for everybody here on the webinar, that if you start your trial before April 30th and then you subscribe, we will offer you 30% off for 3 months using the code. There's a referral place that you can do what do we have, 30 for 3. Put that in and we'll be able to give you that discount. Our trials are 14 days. And they are completely inclusive, meaning that everything that I've showed you today, everything that I've walked you through, you can do inside of a trial. All right, well, doesn't look like we have any other questions coming through. Sasha did answer those as we were going through. So I really appreciate everybody joining me today. I look forward to furthering the conversation, so please reach out if anything comes up. Otherwise, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Mondays. Bye, everyone. And thank you again, Lon, so much for joining today. I really, really appreciate it. It was wonderful to have you on the call. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.